Studios presents the More Better Narrative podcast. This is episode 98 with BJ McMurtry, Jesse Nell, and special guest Nahla Nejjar.
Welcome. I'm BJ McMurtry.
Jesse, you know.
I'm the French maid, Nahla Nejjar.
Yay! Special guest Nahla.
Yeah.
And Jesse got a gift. What is it? Nice.
You want to lick it?
Yeah.
No.
Why not? You don't let me do any cool things.
That's not true, BJ. The other day I let you touch me.
Okay. But you don't let me do any cool things with my tongue.
I have no response to that.
Just let me do cool things with my tongue to you.
I think you want to rephrase that. I'm pretty sure.
With you?
Again?
You guys, you want me to leave them? To leave you all alone?
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, it won't really matter because you're going to end up watching it later anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well be here for the live show, and then you can watch the highlights later. So
what's this joke you heard?
Oh, yeah, I heard a joke today. Somebody, there's this dude that comes into Starbucks all the time, and he's like an old lawyer dude, and I give him free coffee because he's gotten me out of some stupid tickets in the past.
That time you got caught fucking that goat?
Yeah. Actually, it's the joke is related to that,
okay.
Kind of a little bit. But he said, he's like I think the guy's like a farmer. I'm really bad at retelling jokes that are not mine.
Which makes it even funnier.
So this guy, I think it was an Indian. That's what it was. The guy approaches...
Godhead or ah?
I think it's the ah.
Okay.
So this guy approaches the Indian, this Indian, and he says, "Oh, that's a nice dog you got there. Can I speak to it?" And he says, "Dog no talk." So he looks at the dog and says,
"That's not racist at all."
He says, "Dog no talk." So he looks at the dog and says, "How's it going?" And the dog says, "I'm fine." And he said, he says, "So does he take care of you?" He's like, "Yeah, he treats me well. He feeds me. He washes me. He takes really good care of me." He's like, "All right, cool. Hey, is that your horse?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Can I talk to your horse?" And the Indian says, "Horse no talk." So he looks at the horse, goes, "How's it going?" The horse is like, "It's good." And he says, "Well, does this guy take care of you?" And he says, "Yeah, he shoes me, he cleans me, he exercises me, he gives me enough food." And he goes, "Okay, cool. Is that your sheep?" And the Indian says, "Sheep liar."
Again, I don't know how I feel about
And that was a joke told to me at 6 o'clock this morning. And
that's about the time I went to bed.
I've had since Friday 4 a.m. I've had about 4 hours of sleep, maybe 5, and I've had, as of 8 o'clock this morning, about 8 shots of espresso.
Why don't you go take a nap?
I don't want to.
Pussy.
Should I let you guys do this, and I'll go? You can probably hear my snoring from here.
So what do you want to talk about, BJ?
I'll take the microphone in there. I found this great article entitled "How Online Gamers Are Solving Science's Biggest Problems." Apparently, there's a couple games that came out that replicated, or the one in particular that they talk about in the article, they replicated like I think it's called protein folding.
I've heard about this.
Protein folding, which I know absolutely nothing about this. So
well, if you look at the man hours that have been played on Call of Duty, no, I mean like you could build, I think it's like 20 or 30 pyramids in Egypt with the amount of total man hours. So like these scientists got together and like thinking, well, we can only put so many man hours into solving these like these scientific problems. Like we should figure out how to tap into that.
So they're coming up with these games. The one in particular that they talk about, like foremost in the article, had to do with like protein folding and something.
I think one of the first ones I heard about was like this
It's called Fold It.
like unsolvable math problems.
Mm-hmm.
And they had just did this like simple game online,
and they solved it
with like in a week.
Like, well, they said this game Fold It. It was an online puzzle game about protein folding. Resolved the structure of an enzyme that causes an AIDS-like disease in monkeys. Apparently, researchers have been working on it for 13 years, and the gamers that were working with this game solved it in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Gamers, man. Gamers.
I only play games where you shoot people, so...
I mean, maybe they can make a shooty game about genetics.
You might want to get on that.
You're not into RPGs? That's role-playing games for the layman.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, but generally, no.
Well, did you hear about the actually, I think were you the one that posted the thing about the juggalos?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was
apparently 2 juggalos almost killed a dude because he...
Well, wait for I love the reason.
Because he disrespected the...
No, there was these three guys in their 30s.
And one of them was one of their roommates.
They were all roommates. They all lived together. And the one guy disrespected Insane Clown Posse.
So they beat him.
And the other 2 guys, like, attacked and beat him.
Within an inch of his life. Like, he lost an arm?
Well, they attempted, and this is how dumb these guys are. And this is why I like the fact they almost killed him.
Yeah, almost.
They're too big of fuck-ups to actually kill the dude. To the point that, and this... had to have been like moderately hilarious and disgusting and gross to watch, but the way they fucked his arm up in the article, they
set it on fire?
They tried to set him on fire.
Yeah, to burn his tattoo.
To burn this tattoo off, and fucked him up so bad they had to amputate the arm. Like.
But they couldn't light the rest of him on fire.
Yeah, they couldn't figure out how to light. They were trying to kill him and couldn't like.
They almost killed him, but they didn't achieve the job.
No, they were fucking slackers. Fucking
facial fracture, brain bleeding, broken ribs, lacerated rib.
Take a moment.
Liver, lacerated liver. And they attempted to set his arm on fire to remove a tattoo, and then the arm had to be amputated.
The article didn't say which tattoo it was?
No.
I'm sure it was an Insane Clown Posse tattoo. It had to have been.
But then...
what I want to know is what facilitated that comment that he made.
Yeah.
I'm like, how much Insane Clown Posse were they playing in this house for that guy to go, this band fucking sucks?
But ICP has been battling the Justice Department and FBI over the government's designation of the Juggalos as a gang. Cases like this probably won't help ICP's cause.
No.
But they're still an inspiration to all DIY... I'm just going to end my sentence there. I was going to say musicians, but they're not musicians.
Well, I mean, it is respectable, like, what they've accomplished in terms of, like, tapping into that. But is that really, like, the audience that you want to tap into?
No.
We need to tap into people who do a lot of meth. Like, how do we...
Hey, there's a lot of people out there that do drugs, do meth specifically. How do we get them?
Shitty rap and makeup.
I think I talked about it before, but I tried to watch the Western, the Insane Clown Posse Western they did. The reason I ended up turning it off, I mean, I found it freaking hilarious. So I would have continued watching it. But the problem was I watched it on Xfinity Live, like, online. And they kept having commercials in the middle of it. So I ended up turning it off. But I would have continued watching it had it not had commercials. But
I think that kind of sums up Insane Clown Posse in general.
I would have continued listening if they didn't kill people.
Seen any movies other than the Insane Clown Posse?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Awesome.
Easily one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
It's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
I thought the dance distraction
At the end
was...
What are you doing?
I'm distracting you.
Well, the thing that's interesting about it is Josh Whedon,
Joss Whedon?
Josh Whedon, however you say his name, who directed the Avenger movies. Mm-hmm. Guardians of the Galaxy obviously takes a lot from Firefly, which he created.
Yeah.
But
it's very, very much a space western kind of thing.
But the original Guardians of the Galaxy, may or may not have been a big influence on Firefly, because that comic book's been around since the late '60s, early '70s. It was about a band of space outlaws. And did you get I read a lot of reviews about the end credit scene, but I only heard one person figure out what the significance of it was, because it was actually it had a very big... I didn't catch it, but I've heard a lot of people talk about that scene, but I've only heard one person actually figure out.
Do we have to preface a spoiler alert?
Well,
for that
I mean,
if
you haven't watched it, turn it off now.
Spoiler alert for the end credit scene.
I haven't watched it, but whatever.
I don't know if the end credit scene has any bearing on the plot of the actual movie.
It does.
Does
it? It has a not just on the movie, but in the whole Marvel Universe franchise. It had, if this guy is correct, and I think he is. But again, I didn't figure this out, and I wish I could.
I might have to go back and look at it.
If you watch,
but it was the whole place was destroyed. The collector was sitting there with his drink, and apparently that dog in the astronaut suit is an important character.
He's a very important.
And then all of a sudden, there's Howard the Duck.
If you watch the end credit scene with the collector in, and again, I didn't figure this out. This is just something I read. Mm-hmm. But if you watch the end credit scene with the collector at the end of Thor 2, when they show...
when they give him the Tesseract? Or not the Tesseract, they gave him...
That red shit, whatever it is. When they show the collector's lair, they show this cocoon thing in the background. That is significant because the character Adam Warlock, who is very significant in the Thanos Infinity Gauntlet stuff, he's like a cosmic character, when he was genetically engineered by these scientists on Earth in the comic book. I don't know how they're going to portray him in the movie. And he grew up in this cocoon and emerged from the cocoon fully like an adult. Well, apparently in Thor 2, when they're showing all the shit that the collector has, they show that cocoon, which is like a man-sized thing. The significance of the Howard the Duck thing is Howard the Duck is sitting there, and behind him is that cocoon open. And I've heard a lot of people...
I think I focused more on Howard the Duck and didn't actually see
which was kind of the point of Howard the Duck, is that you're not supposed to see that. but I've read a lot of people talking about that end credit scene, but I only heard one person actually get to pick up on the significance of because it was almost like a distraction. Who's the most distracting character in the entire Marvel universe? Howard the Duck. And they put him in that scene, which was funny. But the significance of it was what was behind him, not that he was sitting there. And everyone focused on him, obviously.
Yeah.
But I only read one thing where it actually was that's very significant. in if they're gonna do the Thanos stuff, you have to have Adam Warlock there.
Are they gonna have Howard the Duck in the next
I
Guardians of the
hope to
Galaxy?
God they do.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch
dude,
that movie again.
they made a fucking. This is how good that movie was. They made a talking fucking raccoon, not seem
voiced
stupid.
by Bradley Cooper.
Right. Well, you know who did the tree?
Yeah, Vin Diesel.
I am Groot.
I am Groot. I like that. I am not a princess. Literal, dude. Nothing goes over my head. I am too quick.
It was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I thought it was freaking epic.
I really liked how they even
You
incorporated.
need to see it immediately.
I really liked how they.
Immediately.
I really liked how they incorporated into it the fact like the Batista, that wrestler guy, can't act.
Yeah.
And they incorporated that into the plot almost like.
They were just like, yeah, okay. Just, that's how we're going to deliver those lines.
And then they made it work, which I don't think that would have been. I don't think another director could have done that.
Speaking of James Gunn, have you seen his PG porn stuff?
Yes.
It's hilarious. I'll put the link in the description.
And I like that movie he did with Rainn Wilson.
What was it?
Super.
Yes. I love that. That has one of the most brutal, like, scenes in it, because he really gets messed up.
Oh, even that scene when he attacks the guy in the line at the movie theater.
He just bashes the dude's head in. Shut up, crime.
Shut up.
Quite possibly the best superhero. Battle cry, is it?
Shut up.
Shut up, crime.
I like too how psychotic what's her name is in the movie.
Oh, Ellen Page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that scene where she's like, do you like me in my costume? And then it just escalates from there.
It goes horribly wrong.
It goes. Just put the mask on. Just put the mask on.
I like when they actually go out to fight crime and they're just sitting behind that dumpster.
Yeah.
And she's like,
so this is what you do?
Well, yeah. Huh. Yeah, I like that movie a lot. Which also like the Kevin Bacon reference.
Yes.
In Guardians of the Galaxy, like he's in that movie Super, which I thought was kind of fun.
He's the bad guy in Super.
I wonder if Kevin.
I love because it's so like you completely forget about the Kevin Bacon reference, and then they're flying in the ship, and Gamora just looks over and be like, "We are like Kevin Bacon."
The only thing.
Have you ever seen the movie Footloose? Where they're like the small town where they're dancing.
Yes, but really long ago.
There's a really ridiculous reference in Guardians of the Galaxy pertaining to that movie specifically and Kevin Bacon.
Okay.
Now I really hope they get Kevin Bacon to play Adam Warlock.
He did a really good job in X-Men First Class.
He did. He was good in that movie.
I like that a lot. And then a quarter went through his brain.
Yeah, he was good in that movie.
That's another spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. However, that movie has been out for a while, so if you haven't seen it, I'm very disappointed.
That's one of the only two good X-Men movies.
First Class and the new one.
Mm-hmm.
Something's Past.
I don't think the original X-Men movies hold up that well.
No. I actually think they're kind of lame. However, I finally saw that standalone Wolverine movie, the one where he goes to Japan.
My problem with that movie is that movie was not bad, but when you're watching it, you are profoundly aware of the fact that it could have been a lot better. It was not a bad movie, but you're watching it going, this could have been as good as the Batman movies.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. And there really was no reason for that. That being said, it's not a bad movie, especially in reference to like the other like standalone.
Well, also the previous Wolverine, the Wolverine Origins movie
was
awful.
horrible.
What's even better was the fact that I didn't see it in the theaters. I downloaded a copy while it was still in theaters, and it was the studio pre-effects copy. So there was this great part where when he goes after Scott Summers in the school, there's a great part where Sabretooth's claws go like this across the glass, and you see red markings that somebody wrote on there saying claws will extend, and it's like production markings. And then the scene at the end with the nuclear,
that would have been better.
Nuclear towers. The scene at the end with the nuclear towers, everything's like plastered green screen stuff, and then the towers are just like giant textureless 3D models.
The only thing I liked about that movie was at the end when they basically showed you the origin, which Wolverine origin. The origin of his memory
Roll
loss.
credits.
The origin of his memory loss.
Yeah.
That adamantium bullet that got shot into his brain, and that when he healed, the parts of his brain that the bullet had hit, it destroyed the memory, but it healed the brain, but did not bring back the memories.
The one problem I have with that part is that his entire skull is coated with adamantium. He got shot with that bullet. First of all, I'm hoping the bullet went all the way through. Otherwise, he just got a bullet stuck in his brain.
That was kind of the point.
Yeah. But the thing is, now it's like he's got a hole in his skull. Just there. So I guess maybe theoretically the bone can heal there, but now he's got a hole in the adamantium in his head.
Like a baby soft spot.
Yeah, so he's got a baby soft spot on either side of his head that is sans adamantium. So now you just gotta, get a sharpshooter and shoot him in the same place in the head. Over and over again.
It wouldn't kill him.
Forever.
There was only one.
Or like cut it open, pour something in there.
This is how nerdy.
Torturous.
There's only been one character in Marvel comic books that's actually killed Wolverine, like actually profoundly like kicked his ass.
Who?
It
wasn't Apocalypse?
No, it was like a C and D level character, but it was this character Tiger Shark. who
That's even a stupid
it's a stupid name, but he he's somebody that can swim underwater and stuff, and he took Wolverine down to like this deep part in the ocean and just like pinned him at the bottom, and the pressure kept crushing him and healing him and crushing him, and it got to the point that he couldn't repair himself anymore, and he died. And I forget how they brought him back. Or if that was in like some sort of alternate thing or something, but that was the only character I...
That is like the ultimate comic book thing, is alternate universe. I think that's how they solved the Spider-Man thing after the Civil War, isn't it?
I have no idea.
Dave, like
I have like an encyclopedic knowledge of Marvel Comics, because when I was a kid, they published the I forget what they call them now, but like it was like the books that had like the origins of like all the characters like written out.
The Wizard?
No, it was like something that Marvel did. Like I think DC's was like Who's Who, or something like that. But I think it was like the Marvel Encyclopedia or something like that. But anyway, like I used to read that stuff, but my knowledge of that kind of ends very abruptly in like '95 when I just stopped reading Marvel Comics. It was. And the thing that killed it for me was actually like the event stuff, like the Infinity Gauntlet and stuff. When I would read a couple of things, and then these things would happen, and you'd kind of be forced to go out and buy comics that I didn't want to read. And I think the last one that I read like that was Age of Apocalypse, which was really good. But I just got to the point where I was like, I don't even give a shit about this anymore.
Well, Dave's brought the Marvel Civil War on tour before, and I've read most of that.
I read some of that. I was still like a little kind of...
I think originally when it came out, you had to read all the separate things, and then they compiled it into one thing. But then the whole thing with Spider-Man, I never read Spider-Man after that, but Dave told me that, I think, because he unmasks himself, and everybody knows who Spider-Man is after this point. And I think Dave said that they cleared that up in the Spider-Man comics afterwards with like an alternate universe thing, or like a time jump or something, where the universe of Spider-Man went back to before the Civil War happened, and then just continued. I think they did the same thing with like the death of Mary Jane at one point.
The thing with like, and this was another reason I actually stopped reading comics, was the way that they, and this was really interesting in like the comics when I was a kid. But the whole clone thing that they, and this was like the dumbest plot line in comic history. I mean, it was like stupid. The Spider-Man clone thing. Mm-hmm. But it was like common knowledge, like it, or not common knowledge, but when you read like the Marvel Encyclopedia, it actually talked about this event that happened very early on in Spider-Man's like origin story, and then they brought back it, and it sounded significant when you were reading it, but just no one ever referred to it. And then later on, somebody picked up on this piece of lore, like this clone thing, and expanded on it in the most horrible way possible. But the deal was like this scientist had cloned Spider-Man, not really, or he'd either cloned Peter Parker and not realized that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, and then realized with this clone who Peter Parker was because he had just cloned him. And then there was this huge battle between this guy, the Jackal, this guy who had cloned Spider-Man, and the clone. And then at the end of the battle, Peter Parker's dead. Or like Spider-Man's dead, but you weren't sure like if it was Spider-Man or the clone. And then the body was gone. Like the body just disappeared. And so like it kind of was like stated like, and this was very early on in Spider-Man's history, like it kind of was like, well, there's this, might be this other Spider-Man out in the world. And then later on they brought him back. And that's where this whole, like, the clone Spider-Man saga kind of went off from there, because it turned out in Marvel Comics that the Spider-Man that stayed was the clone. And the guy who left was the real Peter Parker. And that guy just went out into the world and just was like riding around on a motorcycle for
just
20.
like, I guess I'm done. Here we go.
And then he came back, and it caused all this conflict and stuff. But it was handled, and that's kind of a cool plot line. But it was just handled.
But the way they did it,
was just, it was horrible. And at that point, I was just like, I don't even give it. Well, I don't even care. Why am I reading this? And then I just stopped reading. And that was one of the big, like, things that stopped me, because I was like, my God, this is supposed to be like this big epiphany, like moment when you're reading it, going, this is so bad. Like, what the? And then I started but I still like reading comics, so I started to read other stuff, like the more like independent stuff, like Dark Horse and things like that. But like that was a huge moment for me. I was like, it was just the realization, like, I don't even care. Like, this is just stupid. But yeah. But my knowledge of Marvel comic books ends like in like 95. Boom. Everything after that I know maybe a little bit about, but
that's where Dave picks up, I guess.
Yeah.
Your knowledge ends and Dave's knowledge begins, or at least meshes with it. So we have 2 emails.
Okay.
One is a spam email.
What does it say?
It's from T.
Okay.
And it says...
Wait, did we get this on Facebook or the regular email?
This is the regular email.
Is it concerned about her penis size again?
No.
Okay.
No, we're cool with that. But it is from T to undisclosed recipients. So there may be... It may have been a group email that we don't know who else got this. But it says Taikoku is interested in employing you as our collection representative in the U.S. How do we feel about this?
I say we do it.
Do it?
I'm assuming that we gotta break some people's legs and shit.
Probably. I mean, we're collection...
some deadbeat fuckers out there
employing you as our collection representative in the U.S. So, Taikoku, we take the job.
This would be a great movie.
Getting an email asking... Just a random email, just being
and then you accept it, And then all of a sudden, you're forced to like go out and kill people that owe this guy money.
But even better, the guy's like, nobody ever answers these emails. Like, you're the first one that's come to me and been like, we'll do it.
Do you think they could hire foreigners? I'm interested.
Collection representative.
Yeah.
Can you intimidate? For collection, you might have to wear some sort of like armor, body armor.
I think I can.
Give me all your money, please.
Okay. But I said okay. And then the second email is an actual email. Yeah, I'm gonna do the Rob thing because it's from Bernhard.
Bernhard?
Yes.
Burn hard.
My German drummer has taught me. Did you lose the sample I've sent you? I had recorded her.
Yeah, I
recorded
did.
her.
I have no idea where it went. It's probably in my email somewhere.
I have it on my own Android. I think I'm gonna take it
Alright.
in my bag.
He says the subject of the email is witty stuff something something.
Okay.
And he says, "Hi guys, welcome back from China." Hello. When can we expect the video material to become available? /fanboy mode off. Hopefully I will get my photos and video and all tour blog stuff written sometime this week. So hopefully before next episode, I will have that stuff up and I'll have a link ready for everybody to...
Episode. Continue.
Okay. I really enjoyed the Medieval Land Funtime World video from last episode, and I'm going to raise you by 80s Game of Thrones intro. Have you seen this? I've seen it.
I think I have.
80s Game of Thrones intro.
Oh, this reminds me of something I want to
Have fun, fellas. Person who is correct. That's what it says at the end of the email. Well, Bernhard, person that is correct. Let's take a look at this. It's even got the old HBO logo. Let's see.
The thing I want to talk about, have you seen the new Mad Max trailer?
Yes.
What do you think of that?
Badass.
It does not look like it sucks.
Yes.
I'm very excited about that movie.
That's one thing to say. It does not look like it sucks. Plus I like... What's his name?
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy. Bane. He's going to be a good Mad Max. Mad Max, the original, is on Netflix now.
Yeah.
I think I will probably rewatch that.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. I've seen I think of the first two. How many are there?
There are three.
Three? I've seen the first two. My my friend Scott and he'll constantly just like walk by me and, "Who run Bartertown?"
I have found the Bernard
Aha!
correct pronunciation, so it's I don't know if it's
Bernhard.
there it is, Bernhard.
We got a recording, and he is recording, and we're all good.
So it's Burn Hard.
Hard.
It's
That needs to be a name of a band.
I play this again. Bernhard.
I need to talk to Armand. I came up with a great name for the new Rise Up Because album.
Yeah.
Terminator Pussy.
Wasn't that the last Terminator? With the female Terminator?
No.
One
that
in the
wasn't
red
last-
jumpsuit?
That wasn't the last one.
What was the last one?
The last one was the one with
Christian Bale?
Yeah, the Batman.
Oh, the one where he flipped out?
Yes.
That was a good flip.
That movie lost me right up to the... That movie was watchable right up until the point until they squeezed Arnold Schwarzenegger into the last 5 minutes of the movie. And at that point, I was just like, this movie's horrible. And now they bring Arnold Schwarzenegger back in this one they're doing now, and I'm like...
They're doing another one?
Oh, yeah, they're doing, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Isn't he like 70?
It's fucking ridiculous.
How does he even function? Do things? Terminate?
Terminate. I'm here to terminate you.
Like, how are they going to explain the fact that the Terminator has aged? They didn't.
Well, the outside skin ages. Which doesn't explain the fact that they go back and do like a prequel thing.
Yeah.
He'll be at the point before he goes forward in time and be younger. Like, I don't understand how that's supposed to work. It's kind of stupid.
Hurt my brain.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
You can't fill it with too much trivial information or it stops working.
Stuff.
Yes.
Can't fill it with too much.
Too much stuff. Stuff. In general.
What, you're a general?
Yes. Major general. Major general. A major general. So those were our only emails. Yeah.
We need to have more questions. They need to focus more on the questions.
Yeah.
We need more questions.
Questions.
People, when you send in emails, have a question. Question.
Well, he did ask it. The first was a question.
That was like,
It was a quick answered
yes.
question. We need more trivial questions to, I mean, like tease,
Do you want to beat people up for?
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to be a collection representative in the U.S.? There's not even there's no signature at the end, and it doesn't even say this is who Teikoku is. It's
so
just
is he hiring the gang More Better Narrative to go out and rough people up?
I think so. We already have the iguana shirt. That's our logo for the gang.
God damn it. We're badass.
Although I think that was specifically for our rape gang.
What?
The Blue Iguana, Team Blue Iguana. Remember that?
No.
I don't remember what episode it was, but somehow, I think it was Armine was the one that was saying it sounded like we were talking about rape as if it was like the old Nickelodeon game shows. So that's when I said we could be Team Blue Iguana, and then I made the T-shirts.
That reminds me of my favorite joke on my favorite cartoon of all time, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Yes.
When it just shows the Magilla gorilla laid out on the ground, all purple with his green overalls, and all these cops are standing around him with their guns drawn, in that cheesy Hanna-Barbera style of animation, and the one cop goes, "Oh." It took me like a year to figure this joke out, but when I did, it was like, "Oh, he said grape ape." Then what I finally figured out, I was because I take things sometimes too literally, and when I finally figured out, they thought he said rape ape.
Have you seen the? I can't. Is it Whitest Kids You Know? The commercial they were coming up with. It was it was similar to the Kool-Aid Man kind of thing. It was a dude dressed as grape, like a bunch of grapes, and he's talking about these kids should drink their juice kind of thing, and finally goes, "Hey kids, I'm gonna grape you in the mouth." But then it pulls out, and it's this guy presenting this commercial to these executives, and he's like, You can't say that. And the other two are just kind of like, whatever. He's like, it sounds like you're saying rape. He's like, whoa, no. And then finally, I think there's this one point where the kids are running away from this dude in the grape outfit, and they're screaming. He's like, "Kids, I'm gonna lock you in the basement, and then I'm gonna tie your parents up to the radiator and grape them for decades and decades."
They did one of the.
I'll put that link in the description too.
They on the skit and it was like a reoccurring thing on every episode in this one season.
Mm-hmm.
But the Civil War on weed. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
Yes. That was funny in and of itself, but the part where they introduced the character, and this was such a subtle thing, but when they introduced the American Indians. Mm-hmm. And they portrayed the American Indians like frat boy, like they were frat. And all the Indians are walking around in the woods all dressed up like Indians, but they portrayed them like they were frat boys, and they're all carrying the
red solo cups,
and talking frat guys and stuff. I was like, that's fucking genius.
They have some good skits. There's a great one that spoofs the Jaws. What's the that fisherman in Jaws, the one who ends up going out and catching or trying to catch the thing. But there's that great long scene of his monologue.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's talking and talking about the sharks and talking about the whatever. But it's very dramatic. And if you watch the original Jaws, there's this great slow, like, camera movement that's very dramatic. And there's this Whitest Kids You Know skit where everybody's just sort of like gathered around this one guy, and you see the cameras moving in slowly.
Slowly. So it's moving
Slower. It's slowering in. But as it gets closer, eventually it passes the dude talking. And you're like, wait a second, where's this camera going? And all of a sudden, it gets to the point, and you see like people looking around, being like, "What's going on?" And it finally zooms in to this girl that you might not have noticed, who's sitting in a skirt with her legs spread. And finally, the camera switches positions from the girl's perspective, and you see everybody just staring at the camera. And then finally, it cuts.
What's your take on Kids in the Hall?
I like Kids in the Hall.
They're my favorite.
I finally figured out, or somebody told me the origin of their name.
What is it?
Apparently it comes from, I think it's SNL, but it was a term coined, I think, from SNL, or like something like the sketch comedy writers that did SNL and like a bunch of other things. But apparently what would happen is, if some kind of skit or some kind of joke didn't go over as well as they thought it would, they would refer to like the rookie writers as the kids in the hall. So they would their excuse if the joke didn't go as well as they thought it would, they'd just be like, oh well, the kids in the hall wrote it, so it doesn't matter. It's the rookie writers that they screwed it up. But then those writers that were referred to as the kids in the hall broke off and became the kids in the hall.
That's not exactly true in terms of their origin. That may be where the name comes from. But what do you mean? You have absurdly clean fingernails.
Thank you. I lick them all the time.
Can I have one?
You want to taste it?
I want to put it in my jar.
Want to taste it?
No, I want to take one and put it in my jar.
No, you have to taste it.
Hentai scene.
But no, I've heard a couple of the guys from Kids in the Hall interviewed on WTF.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, sorry. I didn't want to say hentai. I wanted to say yaoi scene. Because hentai, it's a bit hard.
Hentai were animated. And there's tentacles. That might actually be better. Do you have tentacles?
I have one.
Sweet.
But they were from Canada, and I just heard
You lost me at Canada.
Well, I just heard Mike Myers interviewed, who's also from Canada, and he knew them and and came like that close to being a member of Kids in the Hall before he was in SNL. He could have been like he was like affiliated with those guys, and when they were first getting up and running, there were a couple of other guys that left Kids in the Hall before they got the TV show, and that lineup solidified. But Mike Myers had done some stuff with them, and I forget if they had asked him or whatever, but like he came like really close to being like a member,
a permanent
member like of
a
Kids
permanent kid in the hall.
Which that would have been. Have you ever seen the Kids in the Hall movie Brain Candy?
No.
Oh my God.
I might have to check it out now.
That's really funny. And then they had and I think it was on IFC or Sundance or something like that. It was probably IFC, but they did this like mini series, The Devil Rides into Town, that I haven't watched the whole thing in chronological order, but it's fucking hilarious. It's literally the devil rides into town on this bicycle and stays at this hotel and just causes havoc in this town, like a la Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And it's pretty absurd. But I like Kids in the Hall a lot. Have you ever seen the skit in the record store skit when the girl goes in to buy, or the guy or the girl goes in to buy that Pixies album,
No.
And the guy goes off on that rant about the Doors.
No.
Dude, it's fucking... I don't even like the Doors, and it's fucking...
No.
You can't listen to this crap. You gotta listen, like... You gotta, like... You know, and he tells him, like, to listen to the Doors, you gotta, like, drink all this alcohol and steal a car and drive out in the desert and do all these hallucinogenics, and then you can understand, you know. But it's just in the concept of this pompous record store employee, you know, like ragging on this person for trying to buy a Pixies album. Listen to some real music like the Doors, you know, but you can't just listen to the Doors. You gotta, like, you know, you gotta become the Door, you know.
I'm imagining Jack Black's character in High Fidelity.
That might have had a lot to do. And then one of my favorite skits is one of the chicken lady skits where she's on a blind date with a guy, and they're eating at her house, and the guy goes, "Man, these eggs are really good." And he, like, as he's taking a bite, and this is done so perfectly, as he's taking a bite and putting it into his mouth, she goes, "Yeah, I just laid that egg this morning." And so he just stands there and just, like, opens his mouth, and the egg just falls out of his mouth. Like,
Oh.
And one of my favorite, like, reoccurring jokes is these three guys on a couch talking about how, like, who they like to fuck. And the guy in the middle goes, "Yeah, I like to fuck old ladies." Or like, it comes up in conversation, like, what? Yeah, the look on their face when you're just plowing into them and you pop their hip out, when they pop a hip out of joint, just the look on their face. It's like, you're like, wow, that's very graphic. Okay. Or the Scott Foley skit where he plays the teacher who's a heroin addict. That's one of the most inappropriate things of all time. Like, at one point, he's having a breakdown in this class, like jonesing for heroin, and he takes this girl, like one of the hot girls in the class, and just basically takes her and alludes to the fact that he's going under his desk to have sex with this girl and do heroin. And you're just like, wow, I can't believe they did that.
Huh. Well, I mean...
But it's just him, like, having this, like, existential breakdown, like, in front of these kids who are just like, what the hell is happening? But yeah, I love Kids in the Hall.
I imagine Mike Carmine might get to that.
That would be awesome.
One day he just has a breakdown.
Fuck it! Fuck it! You want to see some real shit?
Here we go. You're going to see the real Mike Carmine today.
This is about to get real.
And now that we've made fun of Mike Carmine.
Fuck that guy.
I'm BJ McMurtry.
I'm Mike Carmine.
I'm Nahla Nejjar.
Yay!
Thank you for listening to the More Better Narrative podcast. Find us at mbnpodcast.com or on iTunes. For more information, visit us on Twitter or Facebook at mbnpodcast.com or email us at morebetternarrative@gmail.com.